So going straight into this video, we're going to start off with our canvas head. I got this off of Amazon, and this is the average 22.5 canvas head. And I'm also going to be using a spandex mesh cap and using some T-pins to tack it down at the bottom. So yes, this is what we're doing, you guys. We're good to go. Then I'm going to be placing my closure right at the front of the cap. And you guys, I have a whole video on how I do this, or how I just make my wigs. The only thing that's different is I'll be using a sewing machine instead of my actual hands, but I will be sewing down the closure manually with my hands. So I'm just going to tack down each side, make sure it's stretched out, you know, nice and flat. You don't want no bumpy humpty kind of closure. Now I'm going to be using some nylon thread and needle, and just going to be sewing down this closure. Now be mindful, you want to make sure that your stitching is very close together and neat as well. The neater and closer, the better. Now to end it off, I'm gonna triple knot my last stitch, and I'm just gonna cut that off, make sure it's nice and tight before I cut it off. And yes, you guys, now I'm just going to be combing out my closure, and I'm going to braid it out of our way, because you want to make sure that your closure and the closure hairs are not in your way while you're sewing your wig down. So I'm just going to braid it all the way down and then use like a plastic rubber band at the end. Now I'll be taking my metallic Sharpie in the color silver, and I'm going to go ahead and map out my blueprint. Now this is very crucial, especially if you're a beginner. You're going to be doing the sewing machine method, as well as just, you know, making a wig period. So I'm going to be tracing out these lines, and I leave them about like an inch and a half far apart from each other. You don't want them too close together, otherwise you're going to end up running out of hair fast, and you don't want them too spaced apart where you can fill gaps. You want to just keep it nice and neutral. So this is the finished result of us. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me stop. No, but this is how your blueprint is going to look like, you guys. As you guys, it looks very ravishing indeed. Now what I'll be doing is taking one of my bundles, and I'm going to fold it in half and place one track right on top of the other. You want to make sure that they're right on top of each other, and we're going to begin sewing. Now what I do personally when I sew is I pinch the two tracks together just so they don't fall astray while I'm sewing, because that could be very annoying, and also too, you won't have them close together. Now you could double, triple, quadruple stack your tracks as much as you want. I feel like this is what makes it a lot better, because doing this makes your wigs a lot flatter, and overall just a lot thicker as well too. So you're just gonna keep on going, keep on pinching if you feel like they're not too together, and just keep on pinching while you're sewing. Although I didn't show this at the beginning of the process, what you want to do is you want to secure your tracks, and what I mean by that is Once you reach the end or at the beginning, you want to backtrack and then track again and then backtrack again and then track it again. This helps to make sure that that your sewing doesn't go to waste and that it ends up coming apart. And as you guys can see, this is how you should be looking, or how your track should be looking after you are done. Now on to making this wig, you guys. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be placing the track right on top of the line where I drew at. I'm going to put down the header or footer, whatever it's called, in the needle, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew. And again, like I said, you're going to sew and you're going to backtrack, and then you're going to, re-sew it again. And this is just to ensure that your wig does not come apart or fall apart. And you're just going to be following the line. And personally, the trick is SPS. So you're going to stretch slightly, place, and then sew. So as you guys can see, I'm stretching the cap very lightly, but you want to stretch it too much where you're altering the shape. You want to just make sure that it's nice and flat. Then you're going to place it on the line, and then you're going to sew. Now this is the deal breaker of making wigs on a sewing machine. So again, stretch, place, and then sew. Now I kind of hate using the word stretch because you're really not stretching it, you're just trying to make the surface flat. You don't want to stretch it too much because again, it will alter the shape of the cap and just make it bigger than what you expect it to be. So just pull lightly and just stretch lightly. And you're just going to place, and then you're going to go sew. You guys, now that we're almost done with this track, what I usually do is I cut the track where it ends at, just so I don't have to worry about it at the end and it ends up getting messy. So 3/4 of the way of when I'm done, I end up cutting the track just so I know that I have like an accurate measurement of where the track ends, and then also just makes my job a lot easier. So we're going to continue to sew, just keep on sewing, and then we're going to sew and then backtrack again. And this will just ensure, again, like I said, everything's repetitive, just to ensure that your wig does not fall apart. So you're going to go back, then forward, then back again. Alright y'all, our first track is complete. Now what we're going to do is cut off that string, and then I'm going to show you guys how your first track and your tracks all together should look like. So as you guys can see with my wig, yes you guys, it is nice and flat. If you see your the cap bunching up, maybe you didn't stretch enough, or you just didn't place it correctly. So you just want to make sure that the surface is nice and flat, and I'm going to show you guys how it looks like inside out as well. So inside out, you also want to make sure you look inside out because there are some threads at the other end for you to cut off, and also too just to see if there's any thread bunching up while you're sewing, because if that's the case, your upper tension is not the right upper tension for your wig. You're gonna have to change it, which you have to do on your sewing machine. So again, this is the same process, everything's repetitive. You're going to stretch, place, and then you're going to go ahead and sew. And the backtrack, and then we're going to go ahead and sew again. And again. Slightly stretch, place, and then sew. And again, you just want to make sure that your surface is flat. You don't want to pull and tug on your cap while you're sewing. Just make sure that your surface is just nice and flat. I'm gonna go ahead and place, and then we're going to sew. And it's pretty simple, you guys. It's pretty repetitive, pretty redundant, And I'm not gonna lie, I personally learned how to do all this stuff by myself. It was so hard, I'm not gonna lie, because I had no sewing machine experience at all. So everything was like a trial and error for me. but I made it through and I pushed through. So one thing I would say is that to help you better understand how to do this, I would suggest you to just have basic knowledge of how to use a sewing machine. If not, trial and never, you know, it never hurts to try, because I just feel like it's more rewarding to just learn by yourself on how to do certain things. Oh, and one thing I forgot to tell you is the type of sewing machine I'm using. So this type of sewing machine I am using is the Brother sewing machine. I think it's the XM2701 sewing machine. There's like a bunch of brands of it, but that's the one that I'm using. And yeah, I like it a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I like it. I low-key want to see how the singer works, but you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So and again, we are at the end, so you're gonna go ahead and sew down. You're going to go back, forward, just to secure those ends, baby girl. And yes, so this is how your tracks should be looking. Very nice, very seamless, and very flat. Again, if you see that your cap is bunching up, it's okay to try again. Just use a razor blade to cut out the track, and then just try it again. Now we're at the top of the track. You want to make sure that you are placing the track right next to the closure, not on top of the closure, because that's how it get messy. Also too, when you're doing it, just make sure you're pulling away the hair so that the hair doesn't get stuck into the sewing machine, because that is very tragic. Trust me, it happened before and it was not pretty. But yes. Alright you guys, so this is how your wig should look. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how the top of the track looks. It's very nice, right next to the closure, so there's no lumps and there's no gaps in between. And yeah, now I'm gonna go ahead and use my scissors just to cut up the excess lace that's on the bottom where the lace is at. You want to make sure that you're cutting right on top, not right on top, but like right next to where the thread is. You want to make sure that you're not cutting off the thread. Alright y'all, so I already have my wig placed onto my wig head, and I'm just going to be using my hot comb just to flatten down the closure so it's nice and flat. And yeah, this is the styling portion of this wig segment. Now I'm going to be using my Garnier Fructis flat iron spray, and I'll be using my bed head crimper. I forgot which style this was, but just know it's purple. So yeah, I sat down there and I sectioned my hair. I'm just gonna go ahead and crimp up this hair. I was thinking some nice curls, so I'm like, I'm tired of straight, I'm tired of just doing regular curls. Crimps is the way, you know? And just give you that nice beachy wave. As you guys can see, it's looking very nice. And this hair is straight hair, so I'm actually kind of shook at the fact that this hair is holding up a nice wave. And it's still holding up, you guys. So yeah, we're just gonna take sections. We're gonna make sure that you're each section that you're doing it, that the crimps line up, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like, you know, if there's a dent on one section, there should be a dent on the other section, like right across from each other. I don't know if you guys get what I'm trying to say, but I think y'all do. You just want to make sure that they're nice and uniform. So yes, as you guys can see, it's coming along, and it's coming along nice. There's not really much of an explanation for this, just, you know, just keep on doing it. But as I get more to the top, I kind of start my crimps just a little bit lower, because I hate that look where the crimps start right at the root. It looks ugly. Like, it looks very ugly. And now I'll be taking my coconut serum from OGX. I'll be spraying it all on top of the hair, and all over the hair in general. And I'm just going to be using my rat tail comb and just combing just the top piece, just so that all of the crimps just look aligned and just looks nice, and it, like, pretty much like it's not forced, you know? So yeah. And this is the ending, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe if you found this very informative. Comment down below some videos you guys want to see me do, and I'll catch you guys in the next segment.